Hello everyone, I'm Chao, and today our group will be presenting heavy metal. Before we begin, let me introduce our group members. And we have Cao Bo, Adam, Yuan Yi, and Alia. So let's start by answering a simple question. What are heavy metals? Heavy metals are metals that are naturally found in the environment. They are usually much denser and heavier than most other metals. Though some of them are actually needed by our body in very small amounts, they become harmful when too much inside our bodies. What makes heavy metals different from many other pollution is that they don't disappear easily. Once they released into the environment, they can stay in soil or water for a very long time. Another thing we should know is that heavy metal can slowly build up inside plants, animals, and even humans. Because of this, they may eventually enter the food chain and affect our health. So understanding why what heavy metals are is the first step to understanding why they are considered an important environmental issue. With that, I will pass the presentation to my teammates who will explain where heavy metals came from.
Example of heavy metal and their source. The first one is lead, which known as plumbum. It's sourced from lead-based paint, batteries, industrial emission, and contaminated soil and water. Second is mercury. It's from coal combustion, mining, industrial waste, and contaminated fish, such as tuna and swordfish. Third, cadmium. Its source is batteries, electroplating, phosphate fertilizer, and cigarette smoke. Fourth, arsenic. It source from contaminated groundwater, pesticide, mining, and metal smelting. The fifth is chromium, especially chromium 6. It sourced from leather tanning, electroplating, textile, and dye industrial. The last is nickel. Its source is stainless steel production, electroplating, batteries, and industrial waste.
This slide explains how heavy metals move throughout the food chain by two processes we call bioaccumulations and biomagnifications. Bioaccumulations is the gradual build-up of heavy metals such as mercury, leads, and cadmiums inside a single organism. This happens because these metals are absorbed faster than can be eliminated. So they accumulate in organs like the liver, kidneys, and muscles over time. Biomagnifications occurs between organisms in food chain. As shown in the diagram, mercury enters the water, is absorbed by the planktons. This passes to the small fish and to the larger fish and finally humans. At each trophic level, the mercury concentrations becomes higher because predators consumes many contaminated prey. So, as a result, the predator and human have the highest heavy metal concentrations, which can be cause serious health problems, including damage to the brains, nervous systems, and the kidneys. So this shows why controlling heavy metals pollution is essential to protect both ecosystem and human health. So for these slides, explain why mercury is the one of the most dangerous heavy metals and why we should be concerned about it. Firstly, mercury is converted by aquatic bacteria into the metal mercury, which is more toxic. It easily enters living cells, crosses the blood-brain barrier and the placenta, and can remain in the body for the months or even years. As shown in the food chain, Mercury starts at a very low concentration in the water. However, as phytoplankton are eaten by zooplankton, then by the small fish, large fish, and finally humans, the mercury concentrations increase significantly. This process is called biomagnification, which is why humans receive the highest exposure. Heavy metals can also contaminate seafood, rice, vegetable, and even drinking water. Long-term exposure may cause brain damage, kidney failure, learning disabilities, and birth defect, and in some cases cancer. So, therefore, reducing heavy metal pollution is the essential to protect both environment and all human health. And then, thank you very much.
So now I will introduce the famous case study that related to a heavy metal toxicity, which is the Minamata disease. Minamata disease was occurred in Japan, mainly around Minamata Bay. In 1932, Chiso Corporation started releasing industrial wastewater that containing mercury into the bay. During the 1950s, unusual symptoms was observed among the animals and local residents. Many people began experiencing neurological problems, but the cause was not immediately known. In 1956, the disease was officially recognized as Minamata disease. After many investigations, the Japanese government confirmed that in 1968 that the main cause was methylmercury pollution from industrial wastewater. Next, I will explain the exposure pathway of mercury in Minamata disease. The contamination started when the industrial wastewater containing mercury was discharged into Minamata Bay. In the aquatic environment, microorganisms will convert the inorganic mercury into methylmercury, which is a highly toxic form. Methylmercury has a strong ability to accumulate in living organisms. This process is called bioaccumulation, which means the toxic substance will build up in an organism because they enter the body faster than they can be removed. For example, a small aquatic organism absorbs methylmercury from the water. When small fish eat this organism, mercury will accumulate in their bodies. So larger fish that eat many smaller fish will contain even higher mercury concentrations. This increase in concentration through the food chains is called biomagnification. So local residents who frequently consume contaminated fish and shellfish will eventually accumulate high levels of mercury in their bodies, leading to Minamata disease. Mercury will mainly affect nerve cells that cause the symptoms such as numbness in the hand and feet. Then the muscle will be weakness and loss of coordination. The patient will also experience difficult walking, speaking, and controlling their movements. In several cases, mercury poisoning will cause the vision and hearing problem, paralysis, permanent brain damage, and even death. Pregnant women that exposed to the methylmercury could also affect their unborn children, causing the developmental and neurological problems. This case shows that the heavy metal can cause a long-term health impact because they accumulate in the environment and enter human body through the food chain.
Hello everyone, my name is Hao Bocai. My part is about how to monitor heavy metal pollution and strategies used to reduce its impact. First, heavy metals are monitored through a three-step process. We begin by collecting samples from water, soil, sediment, or food, especially in high-risk areas such as mines, factories, and agricultural land. These locations are more likely to be contaminated, so regular sampling is very important. Next, the samples are analyzed in the laboratory. Common heavy metals, including lead, cadmium, mercury, arsenic, and chromium, are measured using analytical techniques such as SAPMS or AAS. These methods are highly sensitive and can agricultures detect very low concentrations of heavy metals. Finally, the results are compared with international safety standards, such as WHO or Codex guidelines. If the concentrations exceed the recommended limits, the contaminated area is identified as a hotspot, and appropriate warning or further investigations can be carried out. Besides monitoring, effect management strategies are also essential. Regular testing should be carried out monthly or seasonally, with more frequent monitoring after floods, industrial incidents, or mining activities. In the same time, pollution should be controlled at the source by treating wastewater and improving the management of industrial, mining, and electronic waste. For seeds that are already contaminated, remediation methods such as photoremediation, soil washing, or immobilization can help reduce heavy metal pollution and protect both the environmental and the public health. Overall, continuous monitoring together with effective pollution control and remediation provides the best approach for reducing heavy metal risks.
Now we have reached the end of our presentation. Today we have learned that heavy metals are not always harmful at first, but when they accumulate in the environmental or living organisms, they can become a serious problem. We have also seen that heavy metals can move through the food chain, affect wildlife, and eventually reach humans, leading to different health problems if exposure continues over a long time. Because of that, it's important to regularly monitor health heavy metal pollution, reduce pollution at its source, and manage our environmental responsibly. By taking this step, we can help protect the ecosystems, improve food safety, and reduce risk to human health. That brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for your listening.